Hello and welcome back to another Drams with your two favourite bands. I'm pushing this where everyone's favourite BAMs because I think we should be, quite frankly.
I certainly have a dram.
And you're definitely
That's
a
all
BAM.
I'm going. That's all I'm saying.
Plus we have like pretty artwork and stuff now. By pretty artwork I mean I use an app on my phone and it makes it look really cool.
I like the way you picked the one where I am necking something. And
It
you
was very
are,
difficult to find one where you weren't necking something, quite
and
frankly.
you're chuckling at something awful I just said. I think I'm wearing the same shirt as well.
It's hard to tell, they're all pleated.
I do like a sort of plaid. Is that it?
Plaid.
Like a tartan shirt.
Plaid.
I was always like,
Lumberjack.
oh, yeah, I'm never gonna wear a tartan shirt and have a man bun. And now, obviously, I'm doing both. But I'm not drinking craft beer, so that's a net gain.
2 out of 3
for
ain't bad.
Fair City.
Right, so we're back this time and we're doing Japan.
If you're wondering what that is, I'm not like flatulent. It's the dog.
Yeah,
and
the
he
dog
can't breathe,
growls.
and he makes this noise.
As most people have seen. So we're doing Japanese.
This noise.
You can go get him to growl at you.
Oh, now you shut up.
There you go. Yeah,
Glad to hear that. Can I get a little? Oh yeah. Oh Jesus. Okay.
yeah, he is cute.
He's cute, but he's noisy. I mean,
He might have to go. We'll
it's
see.
alright. I'll just keep petting him. You're fine.
Right, so this is Darren and Pete do Japan. I didn't know I was going to say that one. So we have both Nikka and Hatozaki. Now I was researching this. You and I have tried. I tried the Nikka.
I've liked Japanese whiskey
Coffey
for a long
malt.
time. I've been trying to get down to get something into the
Yeah,
bar
so
for some time.
had
We
the Coffey
finally got a couple of these.
Malt down at the.
The Nikka coffee malt.
Yes, I had that down at the uni whiskey tasting thing. It was really nice.
It's amazing.
It was really
Probably one of my favourites. I got to drink
So-
a whole bottle of Yamazaki 18 down in London.
good. Got to drink. You need
Because
someone.
I was down in London a bunch of years ago and they were like, oh, it's just a whiskey. And I was like, that's way too cheap for what it should be.
So they didn't know what they had.
They didn't know what they had, and me and Colin Penny smashed this whole bottle of Yamazaki 18, and it was like £6 a dram. And you know, it really should
That
be
should have been more like
yeah, and I'm
12,
like, oh, doubles,
13.
just doubles, just hit me up with doubles all the time.
Yeah.
And this guy thinks I'm
And actually, you're like,
Captain-
this is just such a good deal.
Captain
I
Big
can't say
Spend,
no.
like I'm Tony Stark with my mates there, and really I'm just this skint scumbag who knows that they're selling stuff for way cheaper than they should be. And at the end of the night, he's like, "Look, you guys have finished this bottle. You can have these last ones on the house." And he's like he's expecting me to tip him a fucking poker chip or something. Not happening, mate. I'm really sorry.
I've got
about that.
20p. Sorry, lad.
Yeah, I ain't got no money because I've spent it all on
So
Japanese whiskey.
Nikka,
Sorry.
I'm going to quickly run through this because we don't often give like tons of info about the distilleries during these things because we're doing just a Japanese one. Now, I was reading, so he came to Scotland in 1918. Originally, he was being paid to do it by a company.
Masataka Taketsuru.
Yeah. That is exactly his name, and I'm glad you tried to say it. Yeah, Masataka Taketsuru. He was a founder of Nikka, but he didn't originally start Nikka when he went back to Japan. So he was in Scotland. He studied at Glasgow. He took chemistry, I believe, and he apprenticed at 3 Scottish distilleries. The dog's now asleep on your jumper. That's
On my
adorable. So he learned firsthand how to make whiskey, and he took notebooks filled with the details back to Japan, and it was pretty much their first guide on how to make whiskey. And so they would thing. So he had originally it was going to be for one distillery, but they went out of business after the war. So he went back and he actually managed to get a deal with a different company called Kotobuika. I probably said it wrong, but I'm trying. And he had a 10-year contract with them. After that finished, he set up his own one, which became Nikka. Originally, they actually produced apple juice, apple products under the name Dai Nippon Kaju. Probably still wrong. I do apologize to everyone. Nippon, yeah.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, which means Great Japanese Juice Company. And then that's while they were preparing the whiskey and stuff. And then in 1936, first pot still designed by Masataka, made in Japan was installed. So not the first pot still in Japan, because obviously they was making for another company first.
Suntory.
Correct. And they this is just weird you popping in words every so often. It's
Well, I sort of like you always looked up
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. It's really cool because you
but
also you told me ages ago because he came here and he married a lady called
Rita.
yeah her yeah it's not her full name but yeah her name was Rita, and they went back to Japan and made all this, and that's I did know that from you already.
Now there was an interesting story in the paper.
Yeah, not long ago.
About her.
Yeah.
And her.
They're doing like a short documentary or something about her.
Like sort
Sure
of
they do.
I don't know if they call it lady samurai or whatever, but it's some sort of possibly ethnically dubious.
It probably would be.
So he basically came over. He was studying here and married a Scottish lassie. Learned all he could about distilling and took it all over to Japan.
So 1940 was when they first launched the Nikka, and that's where that name comes from. And so there's another bit you did tell me about that there's the Coffey still is
continuous still.
Yeah.
Is the other name it goes by.
Yeah. So
which is used quite a lot in Irish stuff.
I don't know. Okay, we'll go with that. So they were the first people to take it to Japan. Nikka imported 2 from Scotland in 1963.
They took the stills over?
Yes. They imported the entire stills to Japan in 1963, and this is where this is the same, I assume probably the same stills, quite frankly. You reckon? I mean, I don't know how long, I mean, it was like a lot of stills last for, they keep
it's
them
Japan,
the same.
so they've probably been absolutely meticulously looked after.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, looked after incredibly well. So the Coffey one. So they do the grain and they also do the malt.
Also, bear in mind this is a grain whiskey, which is not 100% barley like a single malt would be. There are a bunch of grain distilleries in Scotland. The one that pops into my head immediately is Cameron Brigg. Drink whiskey a lot and have for a little while, and as old or slightly older than I am, Cameron Brigg is like a sort of a bottling that goes in with I always sort of lumped it in with like things like Haig's Dimple or Antiquary or all these kind of deluxe blends and things like that. But Cameron Brigg is a grain whiskey. Now multiple grains that aren't just 100% barley. They have a different characteristic to them.
Great. Sorry, I wasn't pecking.
It's fine. You'll find a lot of. I think it was Duncan Taylor did quite a lot of like fairly heavily aged grain whiskies. I think North British is another one. You've got Cameron Brigg. There are a few off the top of my head. Those are the 2 that pop in my head off the top of my memory. But a grain, it can be sort of. I don't think it's quite as so much a robust flavour. It can be quite sort of savoury, quite kind of rough around the edges, which is why
it's more something like a bourbon type flavour.
I don't know about bourbon, but it's rough. It's the best way I would describe it, and that's why. A lot of them you'll see will age quite heavily.
Okay, yeah.
And it's sort of mellow. Which I think sort of rounds off those edges, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But I don't know it. Like that's.
Now,
it could be
we have another one coming up as well, and I just want to show off the colour difference between you. Before we drink this, do you want
I thought Darren had poured me a glass of water.
Yeah,
I was ready to punch him.
I'll show you. So like, I mean, so this is the next one we're doing. It's very, very light, very clear, and this is the Nikka, almost orange. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. And I think, I mean, the bottle as well for the Nikka, it's like it's not a brown bottle, it's clear, but it's like
scientific, isn't it?
Browny orange, yeah. So I mean, hopefully you can see that. I'll try to get under one of the lights.
The Nikka Coffey malt comes in a similar bottle like that. Coffey malt is probably my favourite Japanese whiskey ever. It's like creme brulee, and you know me, I don't like to say things like that.
Right, so we're digging.
Yes.
I mean, I have had this already.
It's funny.
It might not surprise people to know.
It's funny that you should mention the great Japanese juice company.
It's funny.
And the honour they bring to their ancestors, because a bunch of the nose, the sort of tasting notes and things like this I've got from this have included apples. So
fair enough.
The fact that you said that is
well.
Now, do you not?
I don't. But the taste notes you get in the nose is
kind of
corn, and herbal chamomile. And I think when you hear chamomile, you do get that straight away. Cause
I don't know what that means because I've never drank. I know what it is, but I've never drank it. I've never had it.
Well, that's what it smells like.
Because I don't like those kind of things. So
neither do I, but I have smelled it before.
But you get that very, very light, very subtle, fruity. And when I say fruity, sometimes you'll be used to us saying fruity, and we mean like those kind of deep, sherried, dried fruits. This is not that.
This is like
this is very fresh.
melon grapefruit type.
Don't know about that. See, they strike me as sweet. This doesn't hit me as sweet. It's like I say, it's
I get
fresh,
a lot of
it's crisp.
The herbal hint and the corn notes. I get the corn notes. I think is what.
The thing I'll say about Japanese whiskey that I've noticed is it's clean, crisp, and clinical. Is the way I sort of see it. There's even those layered drams. It's bang, 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 very, very clinical kind of clean notes, as opposed to certain maybe Scotch whiskies where you'll sort of meld into one another, and it's quite a complex kind of layered.
I get what you mean, yeah.
You know, one thing comes after the other, after the other, after the other. Japanese whiskey for me seems to be quite bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, this is what you get. This is where you get it.
Clinical is a word I keep using, but like it seems to. That's it, you know. It's straight to the point, crisp. It's accurate, kind of, you know, and
the taste is.
You get that sort of almost appley, green apple. I
think that maybe comes from
fresh fruit, fresh cut grass.
I think that does come from the grapefruit side of it, though, because they do use grapefruit in the palate, and I think that comes from the grapefruit and thick syrup.
A fresh cut grass kind of thing. See, but that syrupy is a thing that I always often say, that you get that sweet syrup kind of Del Monte fruity kind of thing. That's not what I get from this.
No, it's different. They're very different.
Very, very just fresh.
And it's really interesting for me because obviously he's gone back with exactly how it's made here.
And you leave it to the Japanese man to take an idea from somewhere and just do it incredibly, you know.
So it's done to, and I know it's different because it's a grain as well. And it's done through the Coffey rather than what he would have maybe got in the bit. Yeah,
continuous still is certainly the Irish stuff's distilled 3 times.
Yeah, like Jameson's.
Absolutely. So most of them. Yeah. So you'll get this a cleaner, like I say, more sort of distinct, more crisp kind of note from your spirit as opposed to.
The finish is really interesting though, because I think it stays at the back. It does like.
It's so subtle
going.
though.
It's
like,
not going.
Really aromatic and and you need to sit. It's something you could sit with.
I think it's the herbal thing you get through the whole way of it. I think it's that aromatic.
It's amazing. It's something. Well, it's one that I could sit in and I almost enjoy.
I think the colour's
nosing it,
almost orange,
as opposed to just drinking it. Like just going back every.
I'm afraid I really enjoy drinking
every 10 minutes and being like. Wow, that's got a little bit of something extra in it.
Even, that's been a 45
See, the more
minutes.
I've tasted it and grassy fruitiness is gone, and you're getting some vanilla. You're getting some cask. I think you're getting some things that have been imported by whatever.
What we normally notice is after it's gone, you tend to get more than those than before.
The Coffey malt is
you do get that
creme brulee coffee. And it's incredible, that kind of burnt sugar, and I love it. But this is completely different.
Yes,
say very fresh, green, fresh cut kind of.
It's weird. You do get the clinical taste to it, but in no way is a bad thing. It's a very precise.
I don't mean clinical as in like tastes like medicine. I mean clinical as in it's very, very precise where these things...
that's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's not in any kind of a bad way. It's like you get precisely what you intend to get.
Very, very nice, yeah. No, that is lovely.
It's a very nice one. Somebody drank this today and they said the smell they got for it, I won't repeat it because they're wrong. It was because it was derogatory. and the smell that they got from it, it didn't complement what it was. And I'm like, well, you're just a fucking Neanderthal, aren't you?
Oh.
No, genuinely, like it was the smell, and it was from a non-whiskey drinker, and it was like, well, you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, we're not going to be like that.
No, but
people have their own.
Yeah, but I mean, it was completely.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna go for a pee.
Can you not wait till just after we do this one, or?
No, because I'm kind of bursting. All right, okay, fair enough.
These are pre-recorded, remember? These aren't live ones. You can just nip back. Have it in. Tie a knot in it.
Wow.
A very small knot. Practice with some thread. So this one.
You know what? After that
That's fair,
comment,
yeah.
I'm just going to leave you on your own.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm actually.
that.
I'll go through this this fun little. But I wasn't probably gonna skip most of this. But since he's gonna run away like a coward in a tiny bladder,
I just want to see you being really awkward.
I'm not gonna be awkward because I'm gonna actually be professional this time, and not deliberately awkward. I'm not genuinely that awkward. Promise, most of the time. So this is the Hatozaki blend. I will show you the bottle of that as well. It's a very beautiful bottle. Very, to me, looks. I'm in the angle as well, I suppose, in this respects that I don't really know much about Japanese culture, I'm afraid to say. And this looks very cool. It's very light though. I mean, if you see the color from that, it's super light. It's, I mean, it's like a wine. It's just really, really light. I showed you in the glass as well. That when it pours in a smaller amount, it's very clear. It's almost like, so I put it down in front of somebody the other week, and it was like have you given me water? So it does have that. So this is from the Kaikyo. Sorry, I do apologize for these pronunciations. Distillery. And it's the Hatozaki, and it's made. This is a blend. Why? Pete's coming back up on that. I wasn't even awkward there.
You know what? I didn't even need to pee. I just didn't want to say those words.
What? Kaikyo. Kaikyo. How would you say that one? Kaikyo.
I can't even speak English very well, so I wouldn't give it to me. Kaikyo Distillery comes Hatozaki Pure Malt. We've tried this.
But this is the blend.
The pure malt though we tried because it is named after your Taketsuru. It was like the anniversary of anniversary of his death, the anniversary of his birth, or some sort of important thing, and they released the Nikka pure malt.
So it is named after a lighthouse though.
Yeah, I read that.
Oldest stone lighthouse in Japan. It's 1620, which is quite cool. Because
I looked up working in lighthouses when I was in between jobs.
Because you just don't want to be around anyone.
Yeah, I thought it sounded amazing. But it turns out there are no manned lighthouses in this country anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So I decided to work night shift instead.
Now that's got a much thicker smell, if that makes sense. It's a fuller smell.
Wow, what's that? No, what's that?
No, but compared to the last one,
it's got this. Oh, weird. That's weird. Without the colourant or chill filtration, well, that's fairly obvious because it's I mean, look at it. That's one of the lightest whiskies I've ever seen in my life.
Like a lighter than a wine, even like a.
That is. You're right. It's going to be here's the thing.
Okay.
Faint.
Like.
No.
Okay.
Could be wrong. It's been a while since I've spoken about this.
Okay. Go on then. Hit me with your knowledge stick. Hit me.
That smells to me fainty.
I don't really mean fainty.
I
assume you mean
faints are a characteristic or like a thing. Oh Jesus! It's been so long since I've tried to remember all this. I'm so sorry. It's
Is your microphone on again, by the way?
Yeah, it is on.
Just checking.
Absolutely. It's an undesirable thing that occurs in the run. Okay. So whether it's like acid compounds or whatever that provide that sulfur, I think is the thing. I don't know if that could be wrong. Do you get that?
No, I don't get sulfur because I thought sulfur was a bit
like rotten eggy.
Yeah,
but and that's like you put sulfites and you get these kind of well it's a thing like that. Okay. So fainty is an element of the run, I think. So and that that thing you just can't put your thing on. It almost reminds you of that awful Pogue single malt.
Yeah, no, that one. Yeah, okay, now that I do.
You know, like the chocolate nib thing. If you think about that now, I think that's...
Maybe is it a bitterness?
I think that's fainty.
I mean,
you know who'd be the man to talk to about this? Keith Mackenzie, formerly of the Grill, would be he'd be the man. He's like faint, and like Mackenzie's a Doberman. He really is. So like,
yeah,
I'd love to get Keith to come in and do one of these with us. You know that? Can I ask him?
Yeah, you can ask him. And we'll do it. We'll sort this out later.
That'd be great. I'd really like that. And he's like raw. He's like whiskey raw.
Love it already. Well, there you go then. That's the plan. We'll try that. And,
but you see that it's got that kind of.
I'm confused.
Medicinal, not medicinal. I don't know how to describe it to you.
It's the same. So we did that Pogues one. We did the red bottle Pogues, a single malt,
and what we described as like cocoa nibs.
Yeah, it was a bitter muskiness, but it's not as pungent as that.
I don't know.
Like that one, you'd be sitting here and you'd go, I can smell it. Like even though the taste was nicer, you could smell it from here. This one, you have to get in there, and maybe that just comes from it being not so heavily imparted with stuff. Obviously, not heavily imparted with barrels and stuff, because it's very
and you're getting an awful lot of the spirit through, and then maybe that's like one of those things from the spirit itself. It's grainy. You get that sort of cereally, porridgey, savoury thing, but then it's just got this little bit that.
Now, as with that Pogues one, that taste is not how it smells. That is crisp and light, which makes sense, to be fair.
Isn't that cooking oil?
Certainly those words apply.
Crisp and dry. No, sorry. Okay. I'm confused. Sorry.
That's
way less. Yeah, absolutely. There's way less of that on the palate. I'm sort of really confused. Yeah.
I bit my tongue. Wow. As I close my mouth there, I bit my tongue. Sorry.
I wish you'd done that during our Highland Park Viking thing, because then I could have asked if it was a bit sour.
Oh, fuck off. You
Darren, I ate a baby Wookiee this weekend. It was a little chewy. I'm sorry. I'm very confused as to where this kind of why sort of where this sits in.
I don't know.
Demographics of people who are going to be drinking it. Do you give this to
if someone
says to you, someone who's never drank whiskey before? No, I probably wouldn't.
But would you give it to someone who's never drank Japanese whiskey before?
No, I'd give them a Nikka coffee malt and let them love Japanese whiskey.
But I don't know if this would put them off.
It's
weird.
It's yeah. That's all. I'm not gonna lie. That's all a weird one. New distillery. Maybe this is your. We can make Japanese whiskey, but we're not one of the big two. All right. Okay. Let's wait and see.
It's nice. It's smooth. It's
the kind of person that likes a Glen Murray. You might enjoy that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there you go. That's probably the good place to go. There you go. Because if you like something like a Glenmorangie,
very light, spirity, little hints of
little hints of snoring.
Little hints of snoring dog. Little hints of like fruit and.
But very light.
Yeah.
Not much imparted on it. Which, I mean, first the glances at, there's not much imparted on it.
But I mean, that's quite difficult to drink not difficult. Not difficult. It's smooth, but like it's.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not. Like you get like an old Chivas or something where it's not necessarily like one you'd give to someone who's a whiskey connoisseur, but if you want someone to just enjoy what they were drinking and not have a burn and not have a thing, you'd
comparatively, maybe the Pogues blended.
No, because again, no, it's just
the Pogues blended to me doesn't have much to it.
That is very odd.
To me, this falls in the same category as the Jura Journey, the Pogues blend, because it's one that you can just drink and not think about.
It's a weird name. I never thought I'd seen a Japanese bottle of whiskey.
What's the importer?
Jedburgh.
Yeah. It's just who imported
Yeah,
it. That's all.
I know, but like, you've got this Japanese bottle of whiskey, and it's got all these.
Jed brought
It's
it.
like produced and bottled by Kyaku Distillery, Akashai, Sake Brewery, blah blah blah, and then it's got fucking Jed written underneath it. You're like, all right, fair enough.
Right. But yeah, no, so I think it falls in those categories of it's what you will drink while you're deciding what you want to drink.
I don't know if I'd even.
To me,
No, because that's
Really?
it's not even it's that's something to drink on its own as like an exploratory thing. Then that's very odd. Very odd.
well, okay
indeed.
then, there you go. Two
I'm gonna go back and look into what I mean by these things. That
two
affect,
very
like, the
different
faints and
Japanese
things.
whiskies. Now, one's a blend, one's a coffee, so they're very different whiskies anyway. But these are our only current Japanese ones. We fully intend to add more.
Coffee malt, absolutely a Yamazaki if they're not insanely priced.
That is the problem we're having,
You
because
probably don't remember when Japanese whiskey they were like, oh, by the way, we make whiskey.
yeah, and, it was
And no
really
one
cheap.
really cared, and it was really cheap, and you could try it all really, really well. And now everyone
This is the
knows
problem,
it's
is like, and this is
amazing.
why it took so long for us to get these in, because until we can get them a good price, which we can pass on to you, it's not
We're
worth
passing
it.
the savings on to you.
Fake doors, real fake doors. Anyway,
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
but you know, it's the same with all our whiskies. We get them in and we charge our percent and we need to make, and that's it. If we get them in cheap, we sell them cheaper. Easy as that. If we get them more expensive, we have to sell them more expensive. That's just how it works. So we'll never get stuff in that we have to charge stupid amounts for when it's not worth it. And although, yeah, maybe the Japanese stuff's worth it, to try and convince somebody to spend 10, 11, 12 pounds on a Japanese whiskey we've never had it before, like you may have to do for a Yamazaki, a nice one, it's probably...
You're not going to try a whiskey. You're not going to buy a £10 whiskey for the first time,
No,
are you?
so
unless you know
when you
roughly
have
what's gonna
something
be
like a £4.50 and a £7 one, especially this as a really nice, interesting one, this is the level we want people to start at, and this is what we try to get in. So because we can get this and sell it at that price, doesn't quite make the usual percent we make on it, but
just don't
I think it's that price point is perfect for it.
Not everyone
and
wants
it's
to.
nice.
Not everyone wants to spend 45.
No,
quid on a
absolutely
dram,
not.
You,
I
know?
mean,
You
we-
shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money
I mean,
for a really
and
nice
I know
dram.
that comes from because we had a conversation with somebody earlier about a different bar that had a whiskey, and it's like 45, 50, 60 pound in
And that's
there.
not even it. But then they can afford to do that because it was all. Well, then it was all big swinging dick oil boys that used to go in there. But there's none of them left
that's
anymore.
true, yeah.
So,
But no, but like, we will never do that. We've got whiskies that are higher up, but if anyone, you guys will know if you've been at the bar, our collection is almost entirely below £15. Am I right? Almost entirely. And I think I'm just saying that as a cover, probably more like almost entirely below £12.
if you wanted to be like a proper flash idiot, you could spend 25 quid on a dram in our
Yeah,
bar.
but even then
like,
we've maybe got 7 or 8 £25.
the previous bar I've worked in where there was £265 a dram, so
No one's buying that, and quite
Well,
frankly,
maybe.
I know, but like no one's coming to us
that
and
was
buying
back
it.
in that was not anyone
big
at Aberdeen.
oil swinning.
Not anyone at Aberdeen University is buying that dram. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
so
that.
we don't want to do that anyway. So
Unless the dean comes in.
yeah, they're loaded knobs. But these are, if you're starting off in Japanese, I think this is the perfect price point, the £7 Nikka, and if we can get the malt in around the same price, or another Japanese one at the same price, you know, it's perfect for starting. Maybe you have a couple of these, and that's when you look at something like maybe £9 for a Yamazaki or something like that. But until we can get them at the price point that is fair on you guys, there's really no point.
If you like that.
Although they're probably worth it, it's, you know, we're not going to ask you to pay over the top for that kind of stuff. I mean,
If you like that Swedish swill you were punting at the last thing, then you're absolutely going to love this.
no, they're totally different flavors. What are you talking about? Right. So we'll leave it at that one. That's our Japanese episode. Probably should have said in the last episode, actually, we have a whiskey. We have a whiskey tasting coming up on the 13th of December. These should be, all these episodes will hopefully be shown before then. And
Special
it's a
whiskey tasting.
special. We have a special
Not
guest.
really, she's not going to be in the same. I mean, she's going to be like miles away from us, so
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
a guest. But
Well, you know, she's a guest now.
we're happy to have her on.
We're happy to have her on, yes. We're being joined by a rep from Pernod Ricard, who own Glenlivet and Chivas, and we're doing a Glenlivet Chivas special, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's also cheaper than the usual one, so if you don't normally take part, Maybe we can try to do it.
Livets in there, a couple of real nice shivers. And
those
if you're
shivers are
like,
good.
it's a
And
blend,
also,
then don't be. Honestly, do it and we'll change your mind.
the next episode of our Drams with Bams is a warm-up to it with 2 shivers on the go. So if you want to know a little bit more shivers, not the ones we're doing in the live tasting, but 2 other shivers while Pete's dances like
that we have on the gantry.
Yeah,
you can come in and try anytime you like.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you very much for watching again. We're going to cut it off there and go to the next video. Cheers guys, thank you.